Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Totalbiscuit from the WoW podcast Blue Please on cynicalbrit.com. I'm going to start this as a series now. I had the video called Wipe-a-thon 3000 about the first boss of BRC. I think there are a number of challenging bosses within Cataclysm that justify having these videos. So, the Stonecore is really long, and we're actually having to film it in two parts simply because of how long it's taking. So, it's going to be presented in the form of a two-part video plus this, the Wipe-a-thon 3000. And the Wipe-a-thon 3000 for today is for Corborus, this guy. You might remember him from my Stonecore video. If you don't, then I would suggest that you watch the normal mode Stonecore video first before watching this, because you'll see just how cool he was in the original video, and just how lethal he now is, now that they've amped up those really great mechanics. So how is the format of this going to work? I'm going to show you a progression of wipes, which is going to show us refining our strategies, trying to figure out the encounter, bearing in mind we have no aids, we have no idea how this encounter is going to go, no bigwigs, no deadly boss mods, no aids of any description. And I'm not going to show you the successful attempt until the first part of the Stonecore video. So this is all going to be wipes, it's all going to be analysis, and the first attempt I'm going to show you at normal speed so that you've got enough time to realize exactly what's going on and how the abilities work, and then everything else will be sped up to 200%. I'll add the commentary, I'll point out where we went wrong, and how you can improve it, and make sure that you're prepared for taking on this boss when it goes live. Our group composition consists of a Goblin Death Knight tank. We've also got an Orc Warlock, we have a Blood Elf Holy Priest, as well as two Trolls, a Hunter, and myself, a Mage. The Hunter is Spec Survival, just FYI. Now, we did have a number of problems with this boss. One of them seems to be that healing right now is really, really unpleasant in a boss that has a lot of moving. So, every heal, except for just normal heal, costs a ton of mana for Holy Priest. Our priest was telling us constantly that he had mana problems during this fight. This might be something Blizzard needs to look at, because it seems to me that healing is becoming not challenging, but unfairly difficult because of the new mechanics in Cataclysm and the fact that everything has completely changed in terms of healing. So, like I said, I'm not a healer, so I can't really comment on this in any great detail. I'm just relaying what our healer said here. So let's get engaged, shall we? Now, the first thing you need to worry about here is a stacking debuff that does area of effect damage. You're going to see it very soon. It'll hit you for about 10k, but that's not what you need to be concerned about. It also absorbs a massive amount of healing done to the target, and it will stack multiple times. So right now, that's absorbing 40,000 healing. This has to be dispelled. The second thing you need to worry about, which you're going to notice is going to cause us a massive number of issues right there, it just killed the healer, is the fact that it's got this spray. Now, this spray will spray massive shards of crystal at you that will do about 15,000 damage a second. That's not the worst bit of it, though, because once he's finished the spray, those shards will turn into adds, which will then hit you for about 20k each and put a stacking damage debuff on you. If you do not kill those adds, and if you do not get the hell out of that extremely quickly, you will die a horrible, unpleasant death. Our second attempt, we're able to get him to Phase 2, where we discover even more unpleasantness, but as you will notice, we're still taking a lot of damage from the crystal shards, and as a result, we are, of course, dying horribly. The thing about those crystal shards is that even if you move out immediately once you start taking damage, you're still going to take some ticks of it. In that case, I was able to divert the crystal shards using mirror image, but that is not a reliable method of doing things. You'll note that we were not quick enough on the AoE. We got a second spray of crystal shards over there, which instantly killed the healer, and then we were done. Wiped. But we did get to Phase 2 that you can see right there, as he's burrowing under and summoning more adds than you can possibly imagine. Oh, these guys hurt, and you'll get to see more of those as we progress into Phase 2 and don't die within the first 2 seconds of it. Now, after this, we had a couple of false starts, and this is what I consider our proper third attempt after we screwed up so royally. Like I say, I'm only showing you wipes that will teach you something here, showing you the progression through the various stages of the fight and how we learn it and how we adapt to the changing conditions. Now, as you can see there, we used AoE spells much more effectively. We actually overkilled it. I used my Curtain of Frost, which has quite a long cooldown. I would not recommend doing that. Indeed, I used Blast Wave and a Flame Strike, and that, if I get good enough damage on it, is usually enough to kill it. That got us into Phase 2. Now, in Phase 2, you've got to worry about these adds, and you also have to worry about its burrowing. You see that large dust cloud there? If you get hit by it, you're dead straight away. You cannot survive that unless, of course, you're me. I have Cauterize. That makes me a smarmy bastard. Now, if you survive long enough, you will get back into Phase 1. You will transition there, and we're actually able to deal with it pretty well. You have to make sure that you AoE the ads and you throw everything you have to clear the ads out as it transitions back into phase 1, because if you don't, you will be overwhelmed, you will be killed, and he goes right back in there with a crystal spray. Look at all the ads that we managed to get there. Not too good at all. We didn't manage to deal with the ads properly within phase 2, we didn't have enough area of effect damage, and what I will also say is we didn't clump up enough during phase 2 to make sure that the ads were all spawning in the same place. Now, by this point, we're able to reliably get him into phase 2 without completely screwing it up. You can see we're focusing our AoE as soon as those go down. And what you'll notice, when the cast time finishes, they will pulse. Once they pulse, that means they can be attacked. So that's when you need to drop your AoE, not before, and you certainly don't want to wait afterwards, because that group will start spreading, and if they do, then you're going to have difficulty AoEing it. That's how much damage the dust gets, by the way. I was able to survive it due to cauterize only. The problem you have during this fight is that if you run too close to the walls, it ends up zooming your camera in, which makes the dust quite hard to see coming. What you want to try and do is angle your camera in such a way that you can see the dust moving along the ground. The dust is actually quite dangerous, not only just in the fact that it will kill you outright, but in that it obscures your view of the mobs you're trying to area of effect. It is possibly recommended here to reduce your spell effects somewhat. I have it on maximum, and I think there are too many particle effects, and that is causing me a whole heap of problems as a result. In this next attempt, I'm going to show you a couple of things. Firstly, my effort to angle the camera in such a way that it's easier to see the dust cloud coming, and secondly, our effort to sort of stay in a smaller area so that AoEing is much easier. I want to see just how successful that is, and we shall give it a try. Like I say, phase 1 is getting there, but it's still not perfect. We come up with a better strategy for this a little bit later on, and I'll be happy to show you that. Now, you'll notice that the priest is dispelling a lot of those. Yes, you can get rid of the stacks, you don't just have to heal through them, and I certainly wouldn't recommend trying to heal through them either. They absorb about 20,000 healing per stack, which is not too good. I should also point out to those of you saying, oh well, people like Cleon or people like myself are taking far too long to get out of those stacks. That's a legitimate concern, however, bear in mind that we are on servers based in the US, so we are suffering from lag. Cleon especially was actually pinging around 500 at this point, which was not good at all. What I'll also say is that you are going to get hit by it if you are standing still. Guaranteed. Now, you'll notice that we did a little bit better with the ads, but it sort of fell apart at the end. There were ads still alive when he popped up. There's always going to be ads alive, but you have to do something about that immediately. That needs to be your priority. So save your biggest AoEs, your biggest cooldowns for bringing those ads down very quickly. We actually started using a misdirection to ensure that we could get the ads to the tank as quickly as possible and then bring them down within a couple of seconds. Now, I'm going to show you here what could be perhaps the fastest way of getting out of it. You just can't do it quicker than that on a server that's lagging like this. You could blink forward, but that would leave you disorientated, which is not good, considering you then have to immediately drop area of effect on there. Now, I did get a little bit unlucky because I got hit by the Crystal Shard Wave twice. What you will have noticed is the reason it triggered my Cauterize is because I took more damage than I did the first time. Now, those of you keen-eyed will have noticed that I took 3 ticks of damage, which is the same that I took the first time. So I got out of there about as fast as I possibly could have. But I had a debuff on me. That was because one of the shards, the crystal shards that you see there, exploded near me and applied a damage debuff, which caused me to take far more damage. Now, at this point, we did start to lose control of it. We weren't quick enough on the shard AoE, which, combined with the damage over time ticks from the wave of shards and the mobs, it ended up killing a DPS. Then it splattered the healer, and the whole thing sort of collapses there. Now, in this next wipe, we're really starting to get it down, but what I'd like to show you is something that's going to be a problem for a lot of healers unless Blizzard does something about this, and that's the issue of mana conservation. So you're going to see in this wipe we lose because the healer simply runs out of mana and can't keep healing us. Any heal that this priest healer is using, aside from the normal heal, so we're talking about the bouncy heal or the AoE heals or the greater heals, is taking a huge amount of mana, which means that healing on the move is very expensive, and this particular fight really does encourage you to move around an awful lot, because if you don't, you will die. There are various mechanics that will kill you. You'll see the healer is very low there, can't dispel the debuffs because he just doesn't have the mana for it. So we've got debuffs on us for quite a while. He regains a little bit of mana there, doing fairly well. We're still holding it together, but just watch that mana bar going down and down and down, and you will see exactly what starts to happen here. He starts to get a bit desperate. We go into the second phase 2, and he's running out of mana, out of of mana very quickly. We already lost Cleon, and he is now pretty much So I'm trying to pop as much AoE here as we can. It's a little bit of a problem because we don't have the aid of the Hunter here, but we're able to deal with it. And here's the problem. No mana whatsoever. Now, as the attempt sort of starts to collapse on us, we're trying desperately to stay alive, but the healer deliberately kills himself to proc that angel form right there. It now lasts for 20 seconds, and it's much more powerful. So he has got a bunch of mana back as a result. He's trying to heal us, but we end up in phase 2 again. We don't have the area of effect to deal with all of these adds, and we get wiped out. Deliberately sacrificing yourself for the party is actually a valid tactic, but we just didn't quite have the damage for it. Now, in this next attempt, I came up with an idea that we decided to try out. Since we don't have bigwigs or deadly boss mods or anything, we have no idea of the timers of abilities, but I noticed that the first shard wave happened about 4 or 5 seconds after that first pulse. So I said, everyone, move. And there you go. Dodged successfully. Now, this only works on the first one because we can reliably predict when that's going to happen, but we can't reliably predict when the second one is going to happen. Once timer mods come into the game, no doubt that'll be easy enough, but if you do it about 4 or 5 seconds after that first pulse and you start moving, you can generally avoid all damage from the shard wave, which is much better than taking 3 ticks of it, which is going to deal about 45 to 55,000 damage, and it's going to hurt your healer an awful lot in terms of mana. Now, what you, again, want to do is try and save those AoE cooldowns like the Infernal, like the Curtain of Frost, to try and finish off the adds really fast at the end. And what we also start doing is a little bit of a rotation to try and save mana. Problem is, the Warlock has massive problems in the Cataclysm beta with keeping his mana up if he's doing intensive AoE, whereas the Fire Mage is much better at it. Blast Wave is one of the most mana-efficient AoE attacks in the entire game, whereas Flame Strike, well, you're pissing away about 5,000 on that. So you've got a 15-second cooldown on Blast Wave, you can hit it for a good amount of damage, better than Flame Strike, in fact, and it slows the target for about 1,500 mana. It's incredibly cheap, but you do have to be careful when you use it because of that cooldown. Now, to conclude, I'm going to show you one more wipe. It was a pretty good attempt. Wasn't the best, but it wasn't bad at all. On normal speed, just so you can get your head around this fight, and so I can conclude by saying that this is one of the best heroic fights I have ever done, and certainly one of the hardest. Yes, we do beat it, and yes, the successful kill will be part of the Stonecore full run video. I'll be releasing part 1 of that tonight, hopefully, and part 2 once we get around to recording it. Unfortunately, we had to stop at the 3rd boss because our healer had to leave, hoping to finish that off. This is excellent. This is such a good fight. You have to play extremely well in order to beat it. Now, bear in mind, I think that this is going to get a little bit easier when they, 1, sort out the healing mechanics, because I think they are having a few problems with healer mana conservation right now, and 2, when you have things like deadly boss mods to warn you of incoming abilities. That will allow you to dodge the shards more accurately and more consistently, so you're not taking as much damage on the entire group. But this is the kind of thing I wanted to see. After Vortex Pinnacle, this was such a breath of fresh air. It's an excellent fight. It is certainly one of the hardest that I've ever done. I'm looking forward to being able to do this on a regular basis, just because it requires you to be so awake. It's so well put together. The abilities work together so well. It's so intense, and you just have to focus all the time. It's awesome. It really is. This is what I want to see out of Cataclysm heroic content, really. Not everything has to be as hard as nails as this. You don't have to make every boss really, really, really hard, but having bosses like this, at least one boss per heroic that is this challenging, is a very good thing for the player base in general. Yes, you have to force people to play better. That's just how it has to be. If you give them easy content, they will suck. If you don't give them a choice other than to learn how to do hard content, then that's what they will do. They will hopefully rise to the occasion because they're being forced to do so in order to get their fat epics. Or in the case of the Cataclysm Heroics, item level 346 blues. There are no epic items at the moment, and hopefully there won't be, in 5-man Heroics. Such a great fight. Incredibly well designed. Please don't nerf it. Seriously. Deadly boss mods and the changes to the healing are going to make this a little simpler. It's not overtuned. It's fine. All of those abilities can be avoided if you know what you're doing. The damage that's coming in can be managed. The debuffs can be removed. The adds can be controlled. And if you stand in the big dust cloud, isn't that your own fault? Sounds reasonable to me. I think that's how a boss should be designed. You gotta applaud Blizzard. You gotta love them for something like this. It's so very, very good. I'll be showing you the full Stonecore Heroic in a 2-part series, hopefully starting tonight and finishing off tomorrow, and there will be plenty more Heroic content to come. My name's been Totalbiscuit, and that was a Wipe-a-thon 3000 for Corboros. I'll see you next time.